holy experiment. And that's because during the time he was growing up, 1600s, soon after the Reformation, people were killing each other over religion. Any on the streets on the east of us to be named after trees. This was originally Sassafras Street, now known as Ray Street. Bridge ahead of us over to the left. The reason why it's known as Ray Street, I'm kind of running a little bit behind my talk here because we have to do a bunch of odd stops along the way. But Ray Street, you can see the street sign there on the right-hand side on the corner. Resident here, 1723. Oldest house in which someone still resides, 1740. And it's, you're perfectly free to wander around in there and explore, even though it still is a residential neighborhood. Best place for you to get off is the next stop, which is the Betsy Ross house just around the corner. Anyone getting off at the Betsy Ross house, can I see hands up, please? Okay, no hands up for Betsy Ross. Now, her house is coming up on the right-hand side. We might have trouble seeing it. I guess if she would have lived, she would have had another one. Coming up ahead of us, on the left-hand side, is Art Street will remain seated between official stops. Anyway, the Ray Street was originally Sassafras Street. There's still some streets that have their original street. Watch for the branches, low-lying branches coming your way. This is what I was talking about, why you shouldn't be and please do not grab the branches. Keep your hands within the bus at all times. There's a reason for that. Not just to keep over and to make our way through traffic, and that kind of exposes us to low-hanging branches. So I'm trying to warn you. But coming up ahead, to your right is the African American Museum, founded by the city of Philadelphia back in 1976 to collect, preserve, interpret, and exhibit artifacts and archival material dealing with the African American heritage. And coming up on your right-hand side of this parking lot is the Dance of Dragons sculptures inspired by the Dance of Dragons that's performed in Chinatown every Chinese New Year's. And they dance the dragons in front of various stores to bring the merchants good luck for the coming year. We're coming into Chinatown, started in the 1870s by Chinese men who were required by immigration laws at that time. Okay, but please wait until we do a full stop before you get up. Okay, there's this stop for Chinatown. Okay. It's an automatic stop for the Reading Terminal Market. Stop 6 is an automatic stop. Shante and I do it 7:10. We have a 7:10 on the way out, right by the right-hand side by the maps and brochures. And again, buses are running 15 minutes apart. But the latest one is Uncle Gus, and they are direct related to Angela's people who did that, and that's considered the best peacemaker. You never ask anybody what the best peacemaker is, right? It's like the religious wars with the ask somebody what your favorite, yeah, that's good too. What do you think? Definitely try out Uncle Gus. Okay, here we are. Safety, please remain seated between official stops. We have long and low-hanging branches. Low-hanging wires coming our way, so please remain seated. Also, keep your hands and arms within the bus at all times, and please do not try to grab hold of those branches. Now, coming up ahead of us, later, 1901. A tower you see to your right, that's part of City Hall. That's William Penn up top. Statue done by Alexander Milner. William Penn founded Philadelphia back in 1682. And Alexander Milner did all 250 sculptures attached to City Hall. That tower, by the way, the tallest masonry tower in the world. That's solid brick clad in limestone. Ahead of us here is the Masonic Temple of the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania. Started 1868, completed 1873. Only two other temples like it in the world. One is in London, England. The other one in Stockholm, Sweden. Now they do have tours today. They start at the afternoon tours like 1, 2, and 3. Tallest building in Philadelphia until 1987. And there's a gentleman's agreement that no building shall be built and then 1987 when that changed, when that building to your left, it's kind of hard to see that skyscraper ahead of us to the left. Glass, and there's an antenna there that you can barely see. That broke the agreement and created a curse from which we could not ever win a world championship again. But then until that building was built there to your right, ahead of us to the right, that's the Comcast building, you could barely see the top of that. When that was completed, the workers who were working on it brought up a pewter statue of William Penn that they placed up on the very top, which then made it so that there is no building taller than William Penn's hat. And the very next year, 2008, we won the World Series. And that broke the curse. The Delaware, the Schuylkill, and the Wissahickon. Building to your right here is the library, 1929, designed by Horace Tromauer and Julian Abel. Julian Abel, the first African-American architect in the United States. Now, the art museums are closed today. So tomorrow, if you want to see it, it'll be open tomorrow. Also, the Rodin Museum to your right here are museums of the largest collection of Rodin sculptures outside of Paris. And even if you don't know who Rodin is or was, you might recognize that sculpture out front, and that's the Thinker. That's one of 28 castings of the original enlargement of the Thinker, 1919. farmland till 1870s. After that became more industrial. One of the major industries here was the textile industry. If you look at the up ahead of us, you'll see that we're going uphill. Very rather hilly area, so a lot of fast-running creeks and streams. Ideal for the water mills necessary to power the weaving machines of the textile industry. The other industry that was very big here was the brewery industry, especially in German-style beers. William Penn, when he was in his day, he would invite Germans to come and settle. Today we do have people getting off at Eastern State, and that the stop is around the corner, so don't get up until we get there, because again there are a lot of low-hanging wires, especially in this area. If you look to your right, pretty just imagine that in October we turn it into a haunted house, and that haunted house doors there. Okay, here we are for Eastern State. Left and right, you see Fidelitas, Frugalitas at the top there. Now it's owned by the Philadelphia Museum of Art. To your right, the line of trees, you see there's beginnings of the country's largest city park. That's where it's called Fairmount Park. It's over 3 square miles of woodland, creeks, streams. Also the very first World Fair was held back there, and the first zoo is back in there. Now over to the right is the Joan of Arc Agency events, sculpture from 1889 in celebration of the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution. And to your right is Ramsey Payne sculpture from Symbiosis, stainless steel industrial piping that he likes to use portrayal of nature. And here's Martha Severo, called Iroquois. He was an Italian family but raised in China and was very much influenced by the shapes of the Chinese ideogram. Now, and the animals surrounding that are animals of North America. You have a buffalo, moose, grizzly bear, Texas longhorn, etc.
When was it? I was with Lois, Rhonda at the airport.
Into ഓർക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ നമ്മൾ അവിടെ നിന്ന് ഓടിച്ചോണ്ട് വന്ന കമ്പ് റൂട്ടടി വെക്കണം.
One side.
So if I go to this side.
Pakai kasam.
It is over.
നോക്കിയാലോ നോക്കാല്ലേ
Mami. Vengarse. Vengarse.
Olivia's right over there. She just came back. She's just driving over there.
Wow. Wow. La medalla.
Hello.
Cuéntala para tomarte la foto.
Mamá, ven.
Y esa la cuenta para sí, ese. Cuéntalo para la
No, está bonito, tío, cómprate patines. Mírame, mira, atrás. El cemental italiano.
A mí me gusta.
ഇതൊക്കെ ആർമികന്മാർക്ക് എന്താ ചെലവാക്കാൻ പറയാം അയ്യോ ലൈൻ നിൽക്കേണ്ടി വരും ചിലപ്പോഴൊക്കെ
Want to get photos of it. I don't know why you would want to film me when there's all this stuff to film, but so look over to the right. You've got these beautiful statues here. Now you see that Rocky statue out there on the mountain. You know what that one is? It's from Rocky II. It's from 1980. They only put that up there temporarily, like recently, right? So now the giant park on the left, they use it for festivals and events. Lincoln's Oval. But if we look over to the right, so this is West Philadelphia over here from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song. But the blue buildings, so if you look up ahead to the right, there's these blue angled buildings here. Those giant buildings are, well, it's called University City. But here's the thing about that area. So there's all the Calder family. There's like 4 generations of famous sculptors. That's what's going on there. That's opening next month. I don't know where this year's gone, but that's opening next month. If we look to the right inside those purple windows, there's a 50s jet fighter plane in there. Inside those windows. There's also a Wright Brothers plane from 1913. There's a silver airplane to the right. It's from 1935. It's called the Pioneer. It was the first stainless steel plane ever built. It was built here in Philly by this train company, the Bud Company. They were very famous for building train cars and shipping them all over the world, South America, Europe. So, Comcast, that's a Philly company. They own the 2 tallest buildings in Philly, including that one. Now, at the top of that building, if you wanted to treat yourself, let's say you're from all the way from Alabama, the beautiful Gulf Coast. Wow. You know, so if you wanted to treat yourself and go up there on your little trip to Philly, that has the highest hotel and restaurant in America up the top of it. It's the Four Seasons. If you want to go hobnob with the Taylor Swifts and the NFL players, you can go up there. It's $250 a person for dinner, thereabouts. But there's another restaurant up there that's going to be more like $70 a person, so maybe you could look into that. But I mean, like, on a clear day, up the top there, you can see for miles up there. It's like, it's 60 stories high, that building. So maybe go up there. I don't know what's going on here, guys. We have to squeeze by some spots. But you got to say thank you to Chris for squeezing by, because I wouldn't know how to do that. You know, if that was me, I would have left you guys here on the trolley and gone home to play video games. That's what I would have done. I would have ordered some pizza and just played Gran Turismo or something. So you gotta say thank you to Chris when we get off the bus. Guys, there's some skyscrapers up ahead. We've got this giant one with the silver signal. Guys, we're driving up where the trains go underground. Now the trains head down the street to the right. Look down there, you're gonna see a beautiful train station from 1930. That's the main Amtrak station. But you know, if you have a good taste in movies, you would have already seen that train station in my favorite Philly movie of all time, Trading Places, with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, and you might know it. And it's also in another great 80s Philly movie called Witness with Harrison Ford. This little Amish boy comes to the big city for the first time and he witnesses a murder in that train station. And then Harrison Ford's a Philly cop and he's going to come and protect him from, Danny Glover is like a corrupt cop and they're these shady cops in the Narc Squad and they're out to kill this Amish family and stuff. It's in a lot of movies. Very famous train station. It's in a ton of new movies and old movies. But Guys, we're in the business district here. So Comcast is a Philly company. Established that. Down there to the right, those blue glass buildings over there. So down there is the headquarters of another Philly company. If you guys go to stadiums and you watch sports, you go to watch baseball or football, or you go to big concerts at the arenas, you know, it's very expensive. It's like $25 a beer, that kind of thing. Well, the people who charge you those prices are back there. That's Aramark. You know, they do food and beverages at stadiums all over America. It's a really big company. So, on the left is another big company from Philly. That's the home of Independence Blue Cross there. So that's the 9th tallest building. Those are 3 most famous companies in Philly: Independence Blue Cross, Comcast, and Aramark, the food and beverages and stadiums people, right? So we're in the business district. This is where all the tallest buildings are, the corporate headquarters, the law firms and banks and stuff. There's a building on the left, this white building. This building is, well, if you guys have seen that movie, Philadelphia, with Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington in it, well, that building on the left is where Tom Hanks works. He works way up there. They filmed it up there in a real-life law firm. He's a lawyer in the movie. And then Denzel Washington is his lawyer. If we look up to the left, that giant blue building I was talking about before, the giant blue glass one up there to the left, is in the shape, well, it's hard to see, but it's a giant USB pen drive reaching into the clouds. Believe that. Now, up here on the right, this blue building here is the 3rd tallest one. It's 61 stories high, and it was built in 1987. Did you know that this building up here on the right was the first building ever built taller than City Hall here? It's the tallest building for 100 years. 100 years. There was an unwritten rule about that. Gentleman's agreement. You weren't supposed to build taller than City Hall. It was like, can't believe that. Now, let's talk about City Hall because it's right in front of us. City Hall. If you look up on the tower, you're going to see William Penn up the top of the city's fountain. It's the largest statue on top of any building in the world. It's like 38 feet tall. That statue. Well, there are all these other statues, 250 of them, and it took them 20 years to do it. Alexander McCullough. Anyway, the building was supposed to be ready in 1876, in time for the first World's Fair in America. That was a really, really big deal, that World's Fair. The World's Fairs used to be a big deal. So the World's Fair, really 10 million tickets were sold for this World's Fair. We opened up the first zoo in America, the World's Fair. We opened up the first Philly Museum of Art for the World's Fair. Heinz Ketchup was unveiled here at the World's Fair in 1876. You can look that up, yeah? And the typewriter was unveiled here. And a lot of other stuff. You look at the soldiers out front, they're from the Pennsylvania National. Right? Pretty cool looking. Now, if you have good taste in movies, this building on the left is where Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd work in Trading Places. It's called Duke and Duke. So they fire Dan Aykroyd for no reason, his 2 bosses. They make it bad. And they hire Eddie Murphy, he's like this homeless guy. And he works there. And, you know, they would trade orange juice futures and pork belly. It's like this commodities trading company. So that's the building. Now, the hotel where they all stayed and partied while they're making that movie is up here on the right. That beautiful building on the next block is probably in my top 5 buildings in Philly because it's in the French Renaissance Revival Beaux-Arts style. That's like the best style of architecture ever. But if you look at it, you'll probably see that it looks like the Plaza Hotel, and that's pretty much what it is. Because on the left, you know, the theater, not the headquarters of the theater, theater, only clubs down here, all the top comics in the world play at Helium. That's like pretty famous. So it's like at a theater district. But of course, Philly was the theater capital of America before Broadway, just like we were the banking capital before Wall Street. Look to the left. This church has the best gargoyles in the city up the top. Also, look at these weird gremlin goblinish heads. The windows there. They're called grotesques. In Gothic architecture. That's like the old Gothic church from, well, it's only 126 years old, but we're making a left here. Guys, if we continue down this road ahead of us, you know what we would get to? The home of the Super Bowl world champ, Eagles, of course, and the Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers are down there. So, their logos with fire insurance companies, right? So, you'll see those in London, you'll see them in Baltimore, Boston, Annapolis, old cities, right? All kind of colonial cities. But anyway, let's talk about America's first public hospital, which is on the left. If you can imagine that, this series of elegant Georgian buildings on the left is America's first public hospital, Pennsylvania Hospital. It was founded 1750s by Ben Franklin and Dr. Thomas Bond. And if you look at the top, you see that balustrade railing there. That's a skylight. The skylight sits over North America. Healthcare and stuff. A lot of advancements have been made here. There's 7 medical schools here. 1 in 6 doctors in America trained in Philly. That's a really big part of the city for medical stuff. Now, look at these beautiful federal period houses to the right. That one was built in 1811. Some of them have a sticker in the window. It'll tell you, what year they were built, this kind of thing. So you can keep an eye out for the little stickers in the windows. So that's an example of a very beautiful federal period style house. It's built for very well-to-do people like maybe a lawyer and his family. Notice the steps leading up to the houses. So when all these beautiful old neighborhoods were built around here, this is Washington Square. Wow. This is Washington Square for this time, right? So when this was all built in the 17 and 1800s, everyone was getting around on horses and horse and carriages. So if you look, you're going to see a lot of foot scrapers. They would install a foot scraper next to your steps because there was so much horse manure and horse urine and stuff. And like the rich people started wanting to separate their main floor from the horse manure on the sidewalk and stuff. So you're going to see examples of that. Look up to the right. See that beautiful church with the best stained glass in the city? I love that window. That is Mother Bethel AME Church. That is the very historically significant black church in Philly. So that is the oldest piece of land in America owned by African Americans, and that's like the very, very important historically black church in the city. Mother Bethel AME Church. Now, so you're gonna see a lot of houses like the big wall names of 648 Philly boys who died fighting in Vietnam. That's where they have all the Memorial Day services. Now this very beautiful sailing ship there to the right, you know what movie that's in? Only The Godfather 2. That's the ship that Vito comes to America on from Sicily when he's a little boy to escape the mafia. That's the ship. Now, it's the Michelin. It was built in 1904 in Hamburg, Germany. And you can go on it for drinks up top. So this nice beer garden, and down below is this nice, pretty upper end French and seafood restaurant. It's very good as well. So that's called the Moshulo. M-O-S-H-U-L. On the right is sleeping, and then you've got this line down here. These beautiful balloons under the stroller. So, this building is only one of, like, if you walk around here, this was like Wall Street, but back in the 17 and 1800s, or Wall Street to Toronto. Philly was the banking and financial capital of America. The first insurance companies were here. The first United States Mint was a Quaker church, the largest Quaker meeting house in the world. 1904. Guys, this is the fire station. Look at this mural about firefighting history. And that's where I like to go eat my slice of pizza. Of course. Look to the right. There's a Ben Franklin with a fireman's helmet. He was a firefighter like the guys and gals of Engineering Ladder too. Founded America's first volunteer firefighting company in 1736, about 2 blocks, right when we came up that little street. It's right there. Anyway, guys, on the left is the grave of Ben Franklin. So if you want to see the grave of Franklin, it's right here. You don't have to walk up here in the rain if you don't want to. Signed and ratified and everything, right? So, look how green this lawn is. It should be all brown by this point in the summer, but we have had thunderstorms 4 days out of 7 days a week, including like today, obviously. So like everything's very lush and verdant looking. It's like a rainforest out here. Look at everything's like, that's why all the trees are overgrown. So you're kind of lucky we're not on a double decker because our driver up front, he's got a much tougher job than I have. I don't drive in America. I've never driven on this side of the road. I'm not about to start in my old age now, but how to get on to the next bus? He's just gonna put it out to you. Use your same ticket. You just jump straight on. It's easy. My name's Vincent. I'm your tour guide, and thank you guys for joining us.
No,
Tonight.